In 1280, after the King of Scotland died without an heir, the Scottish nobles began fighting among themselves for the throne. Meanwhile, Edward, the King of England, also set his sights on the Scottish crown. Edward was a ruthless and ambitious tyrant. Under the pretense of reconciliation, he lured the Scottish nobles who opposed him into a truce meeting, only to have them executed. To tighten his grip on Scotland, he appointed English nobles to govern various regions, but how could he persuade them to relocate willingly? Edward revived an ancient and brutal custom, the right of prima nocta. This granted the nobles the right to spend the first night with any bride in their territory. Once the English nobles arrived in Scotland, they began oppressing the Scottish people without restraint. William's brother and father were killed while resisting this tyranny. At their funeral, a young girl noticed William. After the service, she picked a wildflower and handed it to him. Tears welled up in William's eyes, though he fought to hold them back. Soon, his uncle arrived to take him away. That night, William dreamed of his father, who told him, "Your heart is free. Have the courage to follow it." William and his uncle left their hometown. Years later, the King of England was aging. He arranged for his only son to marry the daughter of the King of France. However, young Edward was gay and had no interest in his beautiful new wife. By this time, William had grown into a man and returned to his hometown. On the day he arrived, a young couple was about to marry. In the crowd, William noticed a beautiful girl. But as the wedding celebration reached its peak, English nobles arrived and took the bride away. The bride calmed her enraged husband, kissed him, and went willingly with the nobles. Meanwhile, William began courting the girl who had caught his eye. They wandered together through the green hills, bathed in the breeze, and watched the sunset. As they prepared to part, William handed her a handkerchief. When she opened it, she found a dried wildflower inside. The girl was Murren, the same little girl who had given William the wildflower years ago. Though William had wandered with his uncle for many years, he had never forgotten her. Murren's father wanted William to join their resistance army, but William insisted he had returned only to farm, settle down, and live a peaceful life. To avoid the English nobles enforcing the right of prima nocta, William and Murren secretly fled to the mountains at night and exchanged vows. They married in the wilderness, consummating their love under the stars. Their intimacy was discovered by a stationed soldier. When the soldier tried to assault Murren, William knocked him down and saved her. He told Murren to ride away first, and they agreed to meet in the woods. But Murren was intercepted by the soldiers. When William escaped to the woods, he realized she hadn't made it. Murren was captured, and the leader slit her throat, waiting for William to come for revenge. William returned on horseback, pretending to surrender, then suddenly launched an attack. Hidden villagers joined the resistance, and together they killed the stationed soldiers. William captured the leader and slit his throat in the same manner. William was elected as the leader of the resistance army. Hearing of this, other nearby resistance groups came to join him. They fought their way to the noble camp that controlled the region. The husband whose bride had been stolen killed the noble lord in revenge for his wife's abduction. When Edward heard the news, he sent his inept son to crush the rebellion, hoping to use the opportunity to train him. But young Edward lacked leadership, and under his command, the English army suffered continuous defeats at William's hands. Meanwhile, Bruce and his father, the most likely heirs to the Scottish throne, watched from the sidelines. Bruce's father was a cunning Scottish noble. He pretended to submit to Edward to survive, but secretly sent his son to aid William. One day, William was ambushed while hunting. Bruce saved his life, and a friendship formed between them. With Bruce's connections, 3 Scottish nobles began resisting England alongside William, but they lacked courage. At the first sign of a tough battle, they wanted to negotiate or retreat. At the Battle of Stirling, the untrained Scottish soldiers began to retreat upon seeing the formidable English army. Just as they were about to return home, William arrived on the battlefield with spears designed to counter heavy cavalry. He asked the soldiers if they would fight without freedom. They replied they wanted to flee and survive. William then asked if they were willing to trade a life of survival for the chance to tell their enemies, "You may take our lives, but you will never take our freedom." Inspired, the soldiers rallied around him. Despite Edward's offer of reconciliation, the 3 nobles were tempted, but William demanded the English army withdraw from Scotland and beg forgiveness from every household along the way.
Ego, Wallace. I want this Wallace.
He instructed the nobles to feign desertion, letting the English believe they had retreated. Then he led the Scottish soldiers in, taunting the enemy. The English first attacked with arrows, then noticed the nobles had deserted. Confident of victory, the English commander dispatched the heavy cavalry. Just as they thought they would crush the Scots, William unleashed the spears, breaking the cavalry charge. With the nobles' forces flanking from the side, they surrounded and defeated the English army. After the battle, the nobles began arguing over the throne again, but William declared he only wanted freedom for the people. Bruce advised him to unite with the Scottish nobles and avoid making enemies on both sides. William replied that the people would follow Bruce not because of his title, but because he could lead them to freedom. William then led his army to capture the most important city in northern Scotland. When Edward returned from his French campaign, he discovered his son had bungled everything, and that William had beheaded his loyal nephew. Enraged, Edward threw his son's lover from a tower. Facing William's unstoppable momentum, Edward devised another plan, to offer William amnesty. But who should he send? He couldn't go himself, and sending his cowardly son would only provoke William further, so he thought of the princess. But when the princess tried to persuade William to reconcile, she was moved by his words. William also told her about his wife's murder. Before she knew it, the princess had become deeply drawn to him. Yet this reconciliation was merely a stalling tactic. Edward had secretly mobilized troops to surround William. Learning of this, the princess secretly warned him, and William escaped just in time. As war loomed, the nobles continued to bicker over petty interests. William was furious and condemned their selfishness. He then asked Bruce to join forces with him. Moved by William's conviction, Bruce agreed. But Bruce's father had already devised a plan to quickly secure the throne. At dawn in Falkirk, the fog had not yet lifted, and battle was about to erupt. Edward first sent in the Irish infantry, believing arrows were expensive, but soldiers were expendable. Unexpectedly, the Irish defected to William's side. Both armies then clashed in fierce combat. William waved the flag, signaling the Scottish nobles to attack, but they turned away and fled. It turned out they had been bribed by Edward. Just as the battle hung in the balance, Edward ordered his archers to fire, indiscriminately targeting both his own soldiers and the Scots. As the arrows rained down, both sides suffered heavy losses. Soon, William was isolated and helpless. Edward left the battlefield with his entourage. William seized a warhorse and gave chase. A fully armored soldier blocked his path. After knocking William to the ground, the soldier approached to finish him off, only to be overpowered by William. When William removed the soldier's helmet, he discovered it was Bruce. Bruce had followed his father's advice and betrayed him. William did not kill Bruce. Instead, he sat in stunned silence, unable to comprehend the betrayal. Bruce saw the shock and disappointment in William's eyes and realized he had made a terrible mistake. As English soldiers charged in, Bruce helped William to his feet, allowing his comrades to carry him away. Bruce picked up William's fallen handkerchief and remained behind, watching as his former allies were slaughtered. He told his father that land, titles, fame, and power were meaningless. Bruce hated himself for his betrayal, which had destroyed William's dream of freedom. He vowed never to make the wrong choice again. William stormed into the homes of the Scottish nobles who had betrayed him, killing 2 of them. As word of his actions spread, volunteers rose up to support him in every city. Edward panicked. He believed that if William were killed, the rebellion would collapse. But every plot Edward devised was revealed to William by the princess. The princess warned William once more. After dealing with the assassins sent after him, William met her in a cave. By then, she had fallen deeply in love with him. It was there that their passion reached its peak. The war between Scotland and England had reached a stalemate, and a long, drawn-out conflict seemed inevitable. At this point, Bruce sent another nobleman, claiming he wanted to ally with William. William knew that to end the war quickly, he had to unite with Bruce. Even if it was a trap, he had to take the risk. Despite everyone's objections, William went alone to meet Bruce. This time, Bruce did not betray him. But Bruce's father had already arranged everything in secret. They captured William, who was charged with treason, and sentenced to execution the next day.
Against whom?
You may receive a quick death.
The princess visited William in prison. She begged him to confess, saying it might spare his life. "As long as you live," she pleaded, "everything will be fine." William shook his head. Every man dies, but not every man truly lives. The princess gave William a potion to ease his pain. But after she left, he spat it out. He needed to stay clear-headed. She then pleaded with the bedridden Edward for mercy, but Edward's greatest joy was to live long enough to see William executed. The princess leaned close to the speechless king and whispered, "You will have no heirs. The child in my womb is not of your blood. Your son's reign won't last long." William was brought to the execution platform. The executioner urged him to beg for mercy, but William showed no sign of surrender. He endured brutal torture, refusing to utter the word mercy. The crowd below chanted for him to yield, but he chose silence. After William was beheaded, The people did not submit as Edward had hoped. Instead, Bruce led the resistance to drive out the English, winning Scotland's freedom. Braveheart is a war film directed by Mel Gibson. The film won 5 Academy Awards at the 68th Oscars, including Best Picture. In its final scene, William's cry of freedom moved countless people. I believe the historical story in the movie is only the surface. The director was telling a deeper narrative about heroism and belief. The heroes in this film are more than historical figures. They are forged under pressure. With his wife murdered, his friends betraying him, and no one to rely on, William was pushed to the brink. Beyond the battlefield, he also fell into the depths of longing and sorrow, haunted by nightmares in the dead of night. Before his execution, he trembled in fear, yet made his wishes known. But he endured it all, clenching his teeth and never wavering. This came from his unshakable belief. When everyone else faltered, even when betrayed, he held on. When the world gave up, he refused to surrender. Such belief is rare in reality, but in film it is brought to life. We are moved because, for a moment, the missing piece of belief in our hearts is filled. Living in an era of information overload, we are constantly bombarded with ideas that influence us. It feels as though we believe in something, only to be swayed by a new perspective the next day. The voices inside us are too chaotic, drowning out our own inner voice. We are much like Bruce, conflicted and inconsistent. Our struggle lies in this. When our understanding clashes with others, we don't know if we are wrong or if the world is wrong. Our contradiction is that what we firmly believe in is also what we simultaneously doubt. So, what is true, untwisted belief? I think it is this. At the critical moment of decision, a firm voice rises above the chaos within us and says, "Do not doubt, you are right."